Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Dream, and you are here for a sub podcast of a sub podcast of my main show, which is the It's All Good show. And I've got a sub podcast of the It's All Good show called Psychedelics as Medicine. And recently we have created a sub podcast of the Psychedelics as Medicine. We call it the DMT Chronicles. And what I realized was that it was important to give people an opportunity to share their stories and their experiences. Now that everything's become a little more open and available, one of my favorite uh, experiences recently that showed me how mainstream, so to speak, DMT has become. We went to a Tipper show at the Gorge in Washington State, and on the sign of things that you cannot bring in, it said DMT. So I thought, okay, I think that people are now fairly aware of it and desensitized. And based on the smell in the audience that evening, a number of people chose to go ahead and bring it in. My guest today is Tom, and Tom reached out to me after a post I did on Facebook and has some experiences and stories and some things to share with us. Tom, welcome to the DMT Chronicles.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So, we all have a story about how our experience with DMT and everything else. I just kind of want to give you free flow to go ahead and share, when it came to you in your experience and what it did, and then I'll ask some questions along the way, I'm pretty sure.
Sure, no problem. Yeah, I first started some of my experience with DMT in 2011 when I was um, battling some issues with alcohol. And then I chose to dabble in psychedelics to help me with my rehab and my recovery. I've been sober ever since 2011. DMT was one of the medicines that I researched and sought out to use. It really was able to help me focus on myself and work through some of the deeper problems that I had with alcohol. Um, it also helped me to kind of see the world as well. The world is that is not always obvious to us. With DMT and some of the experiences that you have, I think you're able to understand reality a little. Excuse me, understand reality a little bit better and kind of the meaning of life and what everything's all about. And through that practice and the practice that I continue today, it has really helped to change my life in a positive way. And now I've chosen to take this medicine and share it with others for similar reasons.
So share with us about, some specifics about the experience and where it takes you or how you feel and what's your perspective on it from the experiences.
Sure. With the experience, there's kind of a couple of different levels. Normally, they say you need to take the drug, or excuse me, take the medicine 3 hits, and normally with 3 hits, you're able to what they call it the breakthrough. Normally, the first hit just kind of gets your mind moving in that direction. The second hit kind of brings you to what they call the waiting room. And everything I'm talking about is very visual, extremely visual. There's fractal geometry. It's almost undescribable. But then when you get that third hit, you kind of hear this buzzing sound, and it's like being shot through a rocket and just blasted through through the universe. And sometimes you see entities. Sometimes you may see it's almost like you're out in space. Sometimes these entities can communicate with you either verbally or telepathically. And sometimes you even experience what's ego death, and it's almost where your yourself, your ego has left your body, and now you are with the universe. You are part of infinity. You're part of God. And um, at first, it can be terrifying. It can be quite scary. It's something that you don't just dabble once or twice. It's something that you kind of got to get used to it, and you have to get comfortable with it. And the more that you learn to let go, the more you're able to take back from the experience.
So, what have some of the takeaways from the experience been for you?
Yeah, a lot of the takeaways is that it's not it's not all about me. It's about it's about everything. From the information that I take from the experience is that we are all one. We are all, I guess I'll say, we're all part of God in one way or fashion or the other. Um, and it helps me realize that the world is really about just love and about being happy and about taking care of everything. And with that I was able to learn how to control and to work through my depression and anxiety that I was having problems with the alcohol and just everyday problems in my life and focus on what is truly important. And what is truly important from what I've learned through DMT is love and is to be one with the universe and not to just be focused just on yourself.
Now, you mentioned the entities. I
Yeah.
lovingly refer to them as the others.
Yep.
Share with us a little bit about your experience with the entities and how that manifests.
Yeah, man, it's just it's so hard to describe it. It almost seems surreal. One that I see the most often is I assume it's a woman. Um, it looks like a Hindu goddess. I've seen her 6 or 7 times. She's all blue. She's got like 6 arms, and she comes down to me, and she doesn't talk, but she kind of telepathically just lets me know that everything's okay, that that we're all in this together. That um, when I expire as a human, I'm going to join them in the universe. So I've seen her many times. Other times, I've seen I've seen people from my past who are deceased. I've seen them out in some of my visions and experiences. Um, and I've also it's all excuse me, my cat. I've also kind of seen myself, but like almost like a near death experience. Like like I'm up in the sky and I'm able to see myself, and I've seen myself die in these experiences, and then later through the experiences, I've almost seen myself like being brought back to life, like see my soul or my ego almost like re-enter my body, and then a minute or two later, I kind of wake back up from the DMT experience.
Okay. Um, so give us an idea. How often do you work with the medicine?
Um, in the beginning, it was more often, maybe one to 3 times a week. As I've become more comfortable with the medicine and learn how to take a proper dose because I prefer to just break through every time because that's when I get the most reward from the medicine. Now it's just kind of as needed. You know, there's some weeks just once a week, and then there's some weeks where where I just feel so good that I may just do it once a month. So it it's almost like it has a calling to you. It's really hard to describe. Like it almost kind of lets you know, like, hey, I think you need another experience with DMT. And if you try to force it, anytime I've tried to force the DMT, I've had bad experiences. So I've kind of let it come to me instead of me going to it.
Let's talk about bad experiences. I was going to ask if there was anything
Yeah.
um, less than comfortable. Obviously, the shifting from
Yes,
this reality to another reality very quickly, in the beginning can be very unsettling, and
absolutely.
create some fear and some hesitation. But talk to
Yep.
us about beyond that,
Hmm.
what you would characterize as bad experiences.
Yeah, I especially in the beginning, before I learned how to relax. When you first start to take it, um, you want to control your breathing. And sometimes it feels like you're losing that ability, and you have to learn that your body knows when to breathe. You don't have to tell your body when to inhale and exhale. It's all done involuntary. But the fear can build up, and it almost can feel like you're suffocating. And with that fear comes raises your anxiety, which makes the experience very unpleasurable because, like I said, you're feeling like you can't breathe. It almost feels like you're going to die. But after the more times you experience that, the more that you're willing to let go. When that fear comes in, you're kind of like, oh, I felt this before. I know this will subside. I just need to let go and just let the medicine do what it's here to do. And once you've learned to do that, that fear just melts away. And then when it melts away, then all the positive things of the experience come to you.
Like that. Also, like what you said before about, it's you do it when it's calling you.
Yeah.
It's certainly, for most of us, even the way we talk about it, working with the medicine, it's takes it completely out of the recreational realm. I started in my first experience was in 1994,
Mm.
and I've had it on hand, as part of my medicine medicines on hand, ever
Yep.
since then. But I've gone 2 years before
Mm.
without using it, just based on it not calling. Most of the time now, when I do it, the others are there and they're like, "Oh, we've been waiting for you," like fully expecting
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Now you have, assisted other people in having experiences with it. Is that right?
Yeah. I have just some close, just some close friends and other people that I know who have struggled with addiction that I've kind of helped walk through the process. That's one thing I didn't have with when I first started to use the medicine. What I used was everything I could find on the internet and just reading tons of books. There's Rick Strassman. He wrote a wonderful book about it. It's called The Spirit Molecule. I'm sure you've heard of it, and he really breaks down um, how he thinks the medicine should be used appropriately. But yeah, I've definitely helped some people. The biggest thing is teaching them to relax, to trust that the medicine is going to help them, and then take in whatever they can once the experience is over. Um, Besides that, you it's something that you obviously can't force on someone because it's so powerful. It's so powerful. I think so many people who younger people who are interested in psychedelics, they say, oh, there's DMT. I want to try that. I want to see what happens. I hear there's machine elves and there's aliens and there's all these amazing things, and they don't go into the medicine with the right thinking because they just want to see all this cool stuff, but they don't realize everything mentally that you have to work through to get to that point. Um, and again, that's some of the things I wasn't aware of when I first did it by itself. But I think by having this information and this experience, I think it helps the people that I'm able to share this with immensely.
Your The way you're speaking about it brings up topics along the lines of reverence and respect for the
Yeah,
medicine, set and setting for
yeah,
the experience, and really for those of us that choose to facilitate the experience for someone else, to really be familiar with the concept of holding space, and that's also important. Let's talk about some of the basics. How are you using it? Is it you're using powder form, a
Yeah,
vape pen? What?
I use the crystal. I use the crystal form of it, and then I just use the vaporizer. In the beginning, I used the vape pens, and at least with my experiences, um, the first couple of times you use it, it seems pretty strong and it kind of gets you there. But then after that, the vape pens, at least to me, um, they lose their strength very fast, very fast. And sometimes with the vape pen, you would have to hit it, 4 or 5 times. Where I found if you get the crystal, and then you need to know you have to use a scale. That's another thing. People don't use scales. They just scoop it in there and throw it in. And if you take too much, people black out, you know. Like I said, this is not something you just do at a concert, right? This is something you need to do for a very particular reason. But now that I use the crystal, and I know, at least for myself, 30 milligrams is my magic number. I'm able to just blast off with just one hit. And to me, that makes it a much more smoother transition.
Yeah, I was going to say with like getting to that point of doing 3 hits
Yeah.
has got to be kind of wild, particularly if it's just you there alone managing,
Yep.
the second and the third
Yeah.
hit
Right.
with the whatever apparatus. Personally, I found that the vape pens to be very, very effective.
Okay.
And literally keep one on a shelf by
Yeah.
the bed. And sometimes at like 3 in the morning or something, I'll reach
Hmm.
over and I have tremendous lung capacity. And so I can
Oh,
do
okay.
about 5 cycles on the battery because they only go for 3 or 4 seconds
Right.
and allows me to blast off or break through in one lungful.
Right.
Um, and just I found that holding it as long as possible. I used to kind of tell my mind, you hold it if and pretend you're underwater, and if you let it out, the water's going to come rushing in, and that was a way that I
True.
helped sort of train myself to hold on to it. And then at a certain point, you don't even realize you've let it out because you're fully there,
Yeah.
immersed in the experience. Uh, what advice would you give to someone? I mean, the DMT Chronicles is this is your one of our first stories, and I'm waiting until we get 10 of them, and then I'll put them out and continue to do the stories. I
Hmm.
imagine that we will have people watching this that are well versed in it, they know all about it and everything else. I imagine we'll have others that have found the DMT Chronicles website or the YouTube channel and are intrigued by it. And so, for those people, what advice would you have?
Yeah. I would say the biggest piece of advice is to have the right intention of why you're using it. Um, and understand that it's not magic. It's something that takes time. It's something that takes um, trust. You have to trust the medicine. Um, and it's something that once it starts to change your life, kind of like we said earlier, when you get that calling, it's something that you have to be willing to focus on. Um, I just there's just so many people that just use it for the wrong reasons, and it just drives me nuts. And as one thing so I'm a medical professional, and um, I specialize in psychiatric and in psychedelics, and I want this medicine to be at some point to be allowed to be legal in my state, so it can be used to help with depression, to be helped with anxiety, and to be helped with PTSD. And I think by it being used correctly and not inappropriately, that's something that needs to be done so it can be approved by Congress or by the state of which I live in. Um, because I know how much it changed my life, and I wanted to use it to help change others as well.
So you're coming up on 15 years with the medicine, 2011, we're in 2025. What, from your perspective, you did a lot of research back in 2011.
Mhm.
You're still staying aware of current research and things like that. What have you seen change in that 15 years?
I would say the biggest thing is my attitude. I used to be, I'd have a bad day, and I just want to go home and use a substance inappropriately, alcohol inappropriately. And the one thing with DMT and other psychedelics, one thing that kind of goes hand in hand with it is meditation. And I've used a lot of meditation with me through these years to help kind of retrain my brain. So if I am having a bad day, and instead of just reacting in a negative way, I can meditate and take my brain to that place where I feel calm, to where I feel focused, to where I feel like I'm in control, not that whatever substance abuse, whatever the disease of alcohol is controlling my body. So by using that in conjunction, it's able, like I said, it's able to take me to the place where I can stay focused, where I can stay grounded, and where I can make the right decisions.
That's excellent. Now, one question, and this came up for me recently, and then also someone I was speaking with. I had a dream last week that was very much like a DMT experience.
Hmm.
And it was one of the first ones that I've had like that. Now it makes sense because DMT is active and created in our bodies, and it's I understand it its highest production during our deepest dream state. Have you
Yep.
experienced anything like that?
Yeah, I've noticed a increase in lucid dreaming. Absolutely. I've also noticed they call it sleep paralysis. I've experienced that a few times. That's kind of creepy. You wake up and it's like you can see everything, but you can't move. Kind of creepy, but definitely the lucid dreaming. And it's got to be connected to the medicine because it never happened until I started using the medicine. And it's not negative in any way. It kind of helps me um, know that the medicine is working. Um, but it doesn't happen very often for me. It's probably only happened 5 or 6 times. But yeah, I've definitely experienced it. Yes.
Well, Tom, I want to thank you for stepping up to publicly talk about this.
Sure.
This is one of my goals is for us to just be able to have um, discourse and discussion about
Mhm.
DMT and have it be something that we can get more information out there about and the people that need it the most or that are drawn to it. Your story is very powerful, coming from dealing with the challenges of alcohol to you know having this medicine and some other medicines along the way really take you to a place where alcohol was no longer part of your equation. And so many people
Right.
are
Hmm.
challenged with it. I do have to say that not everything is for everyone. And
Right.
that includes DMT and everything in reality.
Sure.
It's if you're drawn to it, you're interested in it, do the research, find somebody to hold the space for you, mentor you in that space. Take it seriously with all due reverence and respect, and I believe that the results can be very positive. So I want to thank you for taking the time today to speak with
Yes.
us. I
Thank you.
look forward to more
Okay.
contact with you. We'll
Mhm.
definitely be in touch.
Okay, cool. Thank you.